But you also have in the lower left corner of your viewer the transform tool, which is this little one all the way in the left corner. There's a drop-down menu next to it that allows you to change this to a crop tool or even a distort tool. So if you've done that at some point, maybe you hit a key on accident, this icon in the lower left may look different, and that's completely okay. Just click on it and hit the transform tool to change it back to that transform tool. Notice how right now it is purple. Purple lets us know that tool is active. If I click it again, it goes to a white tool, letting us know it's not enabled. So that's what those colors mean. Every color really is there for a reason. But with the transform tool active in the viewer here, I can click and drag on the clip to move it around and change where that position is. You can also grab any of the corners of a clip to adjust the scale of it and the size. You can grab just one edge if you want to. When you're dragging, you can hold things like Option to change how it scales. So without holding anything, it's scaling from the middle of the clip. But if you hold Option, it scales from the opposite corner that you're dragging from, which can help, especially if you're creating a grid. If you hold Shift when you're dragging, you can manipulate the size. It no longer locks the scale. So you have a lot of options when you're changing your clip there. You can hold Option and Shift to combine both of those as well. So that is a couple little tips about that tool and what you can do with the transform tool. In the middle, you do get your rotate options there, and you can change things like the anchor point and some other things here in the tool. But as far as adding keyframes with the transform tool, you can do that as well. At the top left corner, you get the add keyframe button, which a couple minutes ago we used over here. We used the right to the right of the parameter. We clicked on these little diamonds to add a keyframe, but you can do it at the top left of a clip in the viewer with it selected using your add keyframe button here at the top left. So without using the inspector, we can do the same thing we did with the text, where this clip slides off of the screen and slides onto it. Now to do this, we do want to use our timeline. Because again, keyframes and the time that you have is very important. So make sure you know where you are with your playhead in the timeline. Just to visualize this, I'm going to use my Control V shortcut for video to show the video animation window. And that way you'll be able to see the keyframes that are added as I do different transforms. Now, if I just place the playhead randomly and I select my clip and I move it here in the viewer, there's no keyframe that's been added. Notice there's no keyframe down here. If you look to the right side of any of these parameters, there's no keyframe. And if I look at the top left corner, no change here as well. However, if I want there to be a keyframe, if I want animation, I'm going to hit the Add Keyframe button, which is that little diamond button there. Now notice on the right side of all these parameters, that actually added a keyframe for all of the transform parameters at once. And this little icon at the top left corner has a little X there. The X is nice because it lets you delete that keyframe. If you didn't mean to hit a keyframe there, you can hit that X and notice it removes it for all of the transform parameters at the same time. But in this case, I'm going to hit that Add Keyframe button. Notice on the timeline in the animation, it added the keyframe right at this moment in time. That's very important that you know where you are on your timeline when you're adding keyframes, because that means no matter what, when we get to, 8 minutes and 18 seconds on the project, this clip is going to be rotated in the lower left corner. If I go back a little bit, maybe a little bit earlier in the clip, and select it, I can use the transform tool now to move that clip somewhere else. And as I move it, because I'm using the transform tool, notice we get that red line around, which actually lets us see the path that this clip's going to take. And on our video animation, we see the keyframe's been added there as well. So pretty straightforward there. Not too much else to worry about. And again, I can drag it forward and move the clip again. Go a little bit further, move it again. And now as I skim through the project, it's animated around and it's actually following that path. Just to make this a little